This is still the AM show on Joy News. Now imagine living in silence, unseen and unheard, not because you have nothing to say, but because the voices that amplify yours are under attack. For persons with disabilities, the media is their bridge to the world, their lifeline to opportunity. But as press freedom comes under siege, their stories and their futures hang in the balance. In our latest Hotline documentary, Mic On, Barriers Off, produced by Emmanuel Jivenu, we explore what a free media means to persons with disabilities. Here's the report, and we'll come back to have a conversation after. Enjoy.
Staff of the Multimedia Group Limited have been attacked by armed men.
4 people sustained varying degrees of injuries. Now, Joy News is assistant editor Ohemi Tewiya.
Around the world, the media has been a powerful tool, amplifying voices that would otherwise go unheard.
Friendship knows no barrier.
Felicity, whatever a jury and Esther Bodu approve it.
For persons with disabilities, it can be a lifeline, bringing visibility, advocacy, and support.
Without the media, nobody will get to know and even change their mentality that visually impaired is contagious when you come close to them.
But what happens when this essential voice is silenced?
There's no much and nice one. You call from Namikobucha. May I tell a crime day to me as one I say me to a obviously Mikobujas and I'm no more.
Journalists are facing increasing risks while gathering the truth.
In the eastern region, where we've had illegal mining activity taking over the years, as you can hear, that's the sound of gunshots fired by the police.
Globally, the Committee to Protect Journalists reports that over 200 journalists were imprisoned in 2023.
I called the roll for some of my friends and colleagues who are living testimonies. But all over the world, there are thousands whose memories go 6 feet deep. Why? Because they went out of their homes to do their job.
A chilling reminder that the freedom to inform is under siege. In Ghana alone, between 2019 and 2023, over 50 cases of violence and harassment against journalists were recorded, including physical attacks, intimidation, and legal harassment. For persons with disabilities, media freedom is not just an abstract concept. It is a bridge to social inclusion, education, and resources. According to UNESCO, accessible and open media is critical for upholding the rights of persons with disabilities, providing them with vital information on healthcare, education, and employment. My name is Emmanuel Jivenu, and in this documentary, we explore what a free media means to persons with disabilities. Through their stories, we reveal why it is essential to guard against any attack on journalists and the media. In a country where the voices of many are often unheard, some stories are hidden in plain sight. For people living with disabilities, even the most basic tasks can become monumental. But through the lenses of the media, their struggles, victories, and humanity are revealed, showing the world not just their challenges, but their strength. Meet Esther Bodu, a student at the University of Ghana. Despite being visually impaired, she leads a life without limits. At her side is Felicity, her closest companion, a friend whose simple acts of kindness have become Esther's lifeline.
Felicity and I met in school, university, and she has been really helpful. We bond a lot, and without the media, nobody is going to know of our friendship, get to know that a person living with disability and can the pleasure and visually impaired, it is possible to be friends. But with them, the world got to know that, yes, even those that can see, normally they have quarrels, but the bond between Felicity and I is different, and it has inspired people a lot.
Esty, please can you kindly pray for us? Let's be in a moment of prayer. You always have been praying by us.
What began as a chance meeting in the classroom has blossomed into a bond that has defied expectations. For Esther, Felicity is more than a friend. She is a guide, her companion, her way through a world that often overlooks her. Their friendship began like any other, small, unassuming, but with a profound impact on their lives. What Felicity did not know was how much her kindness would change not only Esther's world, but also how the world will come to know Esther.
Without the media, nobody will get to know and even change their mentality that visually impaired is contagious. When you come close to them, you are going to be infected or get it.
Every day, Esther and Felicity navigate the academic journey side by side. They share lectures, cook meals, laugh together, and even face adversity together.
And with the help of the media, people get to know that disability is not inability and that we are capable of doing everything when given the opportunity.
At the University of Ghana, Felicity, Wedeva Ajure, and Esther Boadu are proving just that. Despite the former's short stature and the latter's visual impairment, their bond is unbreakable.
The media has opened doors for Esther, not just to the world around her, but to her own potential. Through the media's lens, Esther's friendship, her struggles, and her dreams have been shared with a wider audience.
With the help of the media, they've been able to inspire a lot of people with our friendship, Felicity and I. Without the media, nobody would know Esther Boadu is in the University of Ghana, but with them, I've been able to get recognition and also gain an award.
The Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, through the President's Special Awards, wishes to recognize their remarkable resilience. Their story is a testament to the strength of friendship that knows no limits. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the recipients of these awards. Miss Esther Boadu, student, University of Ghana, and her bosom friend, Miss Felicity Wedeva Ajure, who is also a student of the University of Ghana. And now, the journalists who threw light and visibility on this particular story. Let's help celebrate Mr. Emmanuel Kwashi Jivenu, journalist in Joy News, who broke the story. Let's welcome the three of them even as they come.
I was full of joy because that is what I wanted to do, but I did not know how. But when the media came to our aid, finally I knew that my prayer has been answered. When they heard of our friendship, it marveled them, but they were really thankful. There were a lot of people who broke up with their friends, but due to Felicity and I, they've been able to reunion their friendship.
But in a world where the media plays a critical role in empowering voices like Esther's, there are those who seek to silence them. Across the globe, journalists have been attacked, their work undermined. In Ghana, the situation is no different. The rise in attacks on media personnel has shaken the very foundation of freedom of expression.
An attack on the media is also an attack on us. Without them, we can't get access to information and we'll be found wanted in the country.
Meet Isaiah Amada Awuku, a student with physical challenge. Each week, Isaiah covers 26 kilometers, navigating the steep hills of Legon campus in his manual wheelchair. His perseverance is nothing short of remarkable, but his journey has been far from easy.
I attend 12 lectures a week, for which most of them are at the maths department, and I have to cover about 1.1 kilometer each. So in all, in and out for the whole week is about 26 kilometers. And covering this distance every week, at times so I feel pain most times at my chest, and this is having negative impact on my studies.
Isaiah's determination to pursue his studies despite the odds stirred something in the hearts of many. After his story aired on Joy News, he received 2 electronic wheelchairs, textbooks, and financial support for his education. The Ghana Statistical Association also awarded him a full scholarship for his master's degree.
I am extremely excited, yes, for Ghana Statistical Association coming to my aid for providing me a wheelchair, electronic one that will ease my navigation on campus. I'm really excited about it, and I don't know how to express my joy. Before the interview, myself, I know, I have hope, I have faith that when people hear of my story, they will surely come to my rescue. This wouldn't have come on if the media hasn't shined light on my story. The media is doing great in supporting people living with disability, that they can also achieve their aim or their goals in life. And I think this is very nice of them that we should encourage.
Through the media, Isaiah found not just a platform to share his story, but the means to achieve his dreams. But as the media faces growing threats, so too does the potential for stories of people like Isaiah risk not being told.
An attack on the media reporters would not pave way for them to tell our success stories or bring the attention of the public to people living with disability. Assuming a media reporter come to carry an interview or do interview with me to know the challenges I'm facing, the things I've been through in the school, and there is an attack on that media reporter, would he be able to bring to the public that my story? It will not. People just see people with disability and discriminate against them. They say some sort of things against them, but through the media, their impact on our life. Nowadays, people get to realize that no, these people, they are also capable of doing something. But that will be possible if we support them.
For Moses Adai, life took a sudden and painful turn when a road accident resulted in the amputation of his leg. At just 13 years old, Moses had already undergone several surgeries. His world seemed uncertain, but through the power of the media, Moses found hope.
Central Jumandia, Abuame Pa, he said, and you know, I may say me, kind and come find me. Even put me accident in pool, and yes, Central Jumay, I think I meet me out to be crowd, how won't say, see, and I was baby see, and I say, and I easy so I see, and Central Jumandia, dear, ooh, in Yamfa from my boy Pa. You put me clam accident. Where a number and trade my so met me and your fee and your store, but show me the IBB ama pa. Koma Madia, come story in the Kama wanting dia, and then Kenny, my brother dear, then, Minas was saying, give it me a quack, Bimpo, hospital be monisa, a druian quarter do no operation, and in na, CCM Central for I in now, and I'm to all my man so dear. Now, Minas was say, life pa dear so bit me about back to you say dear nam just was meet me like and pepper so I'm see me nya hoden nam dia nanti ana say meet me anya say na mani na so buy erade adum dey say dear omuba ma asim ni dey say dear mama.
When Moses' story was shared in a moving documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng, it reached people who could help. Ekosi Saying Impacts Project built and handed over a fully furnished 3-bedroom apartment to the family of the young boy. This impactful project was made possible through the generous contribution of listeners and the significant sponsorship of JL Properties.
Nyameti ase omo yes on buy store no omo amama ni omo kan se on buy store ama me ho no ma da kopɛ no omo flem se me hye omo junction ne emla ne mehwe ade ampa me ba ya no mo de safo ma me se mimiye na minim ba bia container no posi me bia ya na niema minim ade a sabio ya ton ana ni pedi na bi nimu na bibia wo muti obi ho no ka yesa ma se on be si dan ho ba bia dan na me se dan se de container no omo ka so on be ya ama me a ma ko chinchina ni wo mo chia omo kire bele ko ba kire minim se dan no so omo so omo be si ama me ampa de omo ye container no de dan no so omo be si ama ye ne nkura no enya me adawloma enam sentrefo esuwa motimi asa ma nne me ne me manso yenya ba bia atana ese kula am ba yo be kire se edan ni ho bi mom no otwa motimi ka se wo nso wo dan ni na maka kire se me nso se ye bobo first na ke ye bobo fila kira me na kam di kan ebe ani mu nso am na bitwa to nti ese no nyame adom me nso ye bobo fila ni mu a me nso mi di kan ne ba se kodura kira na afi ne metwa las nti nyame aye bi nam sanchefo de me sra awrade se ba bia sanchefo betua na mo asibia ono asafo awrade no a emo om ho ban na obi bia la nso akọ me ban so hwe a me bayi wura mu no a o ma boa na wo ya ansi ya o ma kase o mo be boa na mo o ma ne hinhim o mo de o mo sia o mo yo
Mini fine say mini will be say bibi we and I say we be or some trade man I say namni akunya bia buy e wo mu nyame ne yi boafo a omutimi de buy ana central bo e de mo mu yi na se de central fo ni na se so metimi aboa me pa.
Moses' story is just one of many. Without the media, his journey would have remained hidden, but through the media, the world saw his pain and his unyielding spirit.
Even po me ba fie no na ase na me na minya enyusu we ni sa mo na afin mesime asoya by obi tumboa me e ma minya hwika wutenema wo kreka na eno eko wo kreka na eno eba even po eno point out like aboa me ana even po ba bia me dana like min na ma sitenema na minnema na say na enye good de na mi na mba fia like if you nsu to na ebufa na yesi be na nyame adom mo hwa yesi eto ahasi yensu to a wonni nsu to na say bibia e kama me de aboa me yi pa timi amata so nya shop ama mi betina no a onko bread in wram no ne wram ne obetina no obi nso enya kakra ma ye de etimi ato aduane e even po mi school sim ni mi bibia mu so o maboa me bi pa.
In a time when journalists are under attack, it is vital to remember the role they play in sharing the stories of the voiceless. For people with disabilities, the media is not just a platform. It is their connection to the world.
Let's speak up to defend the media. Persons living with disability, without them, we are found wanting in society. We can't get access to information. We can't move from place to find information, to know what is going on in the country. So let us speak against the attacks of journalists and also stand up boldly to defend the media.
There are some kind of policies that when they are be implemented, you know that when I do this against a media personnel or a media person, I will be punished. So I will not do that. And if someone do it and the person has been punished, that would deter others not to do that.
Said the central for buying. I may a say, many me bear to a central for me, same to me, my men, one papa no woman. Many a man no woman. Me may say, oh, papa, when you press one of Moses, one papa won't be behind no. To me, stress and central for the moment my pa mine.
For persons with disabilities, media freedom is not just about information. It is about recognition, inclusion, and the right to be seen, heard, and valued. Together, they can stand as a proof to the power of the media and the importance of defending the freedom that allows their voices to be heard.
Defend media freedom.
Defend media freedom.
Mommy, and central for who by ye.
The stress and central for the moment my pa mine.
Well, we are definitely turning the microphones on and casting off any barriers, especially when it comes to persons living or persons with disabilities. Now, on the back of that conversation, we're going to be interacting with our guests. Joining us on phone now, we have Suleiman Abrahima, he's Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Then via Zoom, we have Sharon Willis-Brown Aqua, Programs Officer, Center for Democratic Development. They join the conversation. We have Dr. Peter O. Nda, Director, Center for Disability Studies and Advocacy. And finally, Andrew Neo-Kaikwe, Founder, Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy. All of them join the conversation. A very good morning to all of you. Let me hear from those of you joining us via Zoom for now. Do I have Sharon? All of you, please unmute. We just want to do a sound check before we continue. Sharon, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It's good to have you. Let me also shout Dr. Nda. A very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Doc. Please unmute for me.
Please unmute for me. Please unmute for me. Please unmute for me.
Okay, I think we have a little challenge with Doc. We'll get back to him. Andrew, good morning. I think I can hear you only faintly. Good morning, Andrew. Okay, just to be sure so that we move on. And then Suleimana, Mr. Brahima, a very good morning to you, sir. You are joining us via phone. All right, so let's start with Sharon, and then Sweetie Aboti will take it right over from there. She is Programs Officer, Center for Democratic Development. You know, it gave me chills watching this latest Hotline documentary, and the joy was the fact that the media plays such an essential role in the lives of so many people.
Yeah.
But,
hello.
Whom do we have? Is that Doc? All right, Doc. Doc, it's good to have you
just
back.
checking if I'm clear here.
Yes, I can hear you from here. Thank you for the sound check. Do hold for me, please. So, Sharon, if you look at SDG 16, there is the emphasis on access to justice, strong institutions, inclusivity, and more. When you look at this latest documentary, how does it feed into the picture, and how does the assault on the media claw back from that picture?
All right. Thank you very much, Benjamin, and good morning to viewers out there. We are bringing you greetings from the Center for Democratic Development, of course. I must say I need to commend Multimedia Ghana Group Limited for this very intriguing and intelligent broadcast and documentary. To be honest with you, I have a background in journalism and I can clearly relate to this. The media certainly plays a very key role and in raising awareness and barriers that persons living with disability, or let me even put it this way, differently abled persons face. And I believe that by doing this, they are empowered to voice out their concerns because the media clearly paves the way for the society to voice out their concerns, their worries, and air their grievances. And, you know, it fosters and enhances a feeling of belongingness. Now, the SDG 16 agenda seeks to promote peaceful and strong institutions, provide access to justice, and, you know, promote inclusivity. But it's quite unfortunate that we live in a society where much focus isn't placed on the people who are meant to provide a mouthpiece for both leaders and its citizens, the citizens of its state. There are no protective measures for them, and at the end of the day, it ends up affecting everybody, and persons with disability are not certainly not left out. The media plays a key role, like I said earlier. They investigate and report on some of the systematic barriers that these persons face, such as inaccessible infrastructure, discriminatory policies, stigmatization, including misinformation about these people. And I am happy, to be honest with you. I am happy that Joy News especially is collaborating with the center to, you know, create advocacy on these challenges. That is what CSOs are there for anyway. Or I'll particularly emphasize on the role CDD is playing in here. They are creating the advocacy. We are saying, you know what, these people need to be protected at all costs. Thankfully, persons with disability have also added their voice to this challenge of national cancer. We need to ensure that we are tackling the issues and tackling them the right way at the right time, using the appropriate people and the right people involved.
And Sharon, Ben mentioned the SDG 16. In fact, before we even get there, what was the highlights for you in this documentary? I mean, at every point in turn, I kept saying to myself, wow. But what was the highlight for you? And then we can get into how we can draw an intersection between using the elements of SDG 16 to maybe propel this media-driven advocacy for persons with disabilities. What was the highlight for you? Let's start from there.
I'll say all three people stood out for me, but I like Moses' perspective. He was clearly elated. His family even got they also benefited at the end of the day. And trust me, nobody can watch this and say, and so what?
Yeah.
The person would clearly say, this is good. Let us do more. How can we assist? How can we help? That is the world that we are all looking for. If we are having programs and we are not involving persons with disability, we are not creating avenues for these people to feel free to join, to share their opinions or to provide recommendations, where are we really heading to in ensuring that these SDGs are being implemented by the year 2030?
Right.
We are not getting anywhere.
Okay, so now let's expatiate on this SDG 16 and how we can use the elements in there to propel media-driven advocacy for persons with disabilities.
I believe that media as an institution need to do more collaborative work with CSOs. CSOs have a very powerful voice out there, and ensuring that some policies are made. They have direct contact with government agencies and government institutions, but the work cannot just be done and end up on the drawers or on the coffers of these CSOs. The media comes in here. And that is why I say that I'm very proud of the work that you have done. You have made our work as a CSO very easy. They need to collaborate more with CSOs, provide platforms for persons with disabilities, come up with, structured programs, structured real life situations where people need to know that, okay, this has been made, but we are lacking in these structures or in these institutions. The government really needs to set up, when it comes to inclusivity in here, the media or media persons do not need to end their lives, get injured just because they are doing their work. It is never done anywhere. It is not acceptable. But we live in a society, unfortunately, where people lose their lives and simple investigations into the loss of their lives are not even investigated. They aren't done. I mean, nobody is championing it. And I mean, suspects always end up going scot-free, even when the evidence is so clear and it's pointing at one or two persons.
Right.
There's no accountability.
Okay.
And we need to sit up as a state and do better.
Okay, let's move the conversation forward. Let me usher in Dr. Peter Onda. He is Director for Center for Disability Studies and Advocacy. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation. And I know Emmanuel Jivenu tells the story of how we can use media, or media is actually a tool to empower persons with disability. But let me take your quick reflections on the documentary as a whole, in terms of highlights, what stood out for you, and then we get going with the conversation.
Well, thank you very much. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, and like Sharon just said, I think whatever has been portrayed here is very brilliant. And I like the fact that you actually are working with people who really have the disabilities and telling you their experiences. So to me, what stood out very great was all the three. They were brilliantly actually presented. But I'm very attached with Esther and the friend. It's very surprising that it was just a mere friendship, like it was said, but this is a special one, of course, for the two to actually live together and make things work positively for them at school. I think it's a brilliant show of friendship. So that stood out very well for me. Thank you.
Right. So before Ben comes in, I think the first question on my mind is, what challenges do persons with disabilities really face, and how can we help?
Persons with disability, actually, there are a lot of issues that they do face generally. And then also, if you want to talk about just on campus, I'm just looking at a picture about how somebody is being lifted. It's a video lifted into the vehicle. I think this is not the best way to go about this. I think there should be a better way, having an accessible vehicle for this person should be helped into that pickup truck. If we talk about difficulties,
I'm sorry, just for clarity, you say we shouldn't pick them up, but help them to get into the car or wherever they're going. How exactly do we do that if we don't literally pick them up? How does it work?
Yeah, it means, no, it means this vehicle being used is not the best.
Right.
That is it. Because you picking the person can also sustain some severe injuries as you lift this person. And in case of any, should I say, difficulty or any, should I say, eventuality, you also drop this person to save your back or to save yourself. So the vehicle, in the first place, is not an accessible vehicle for someone who uses a wheelchair. Because I'm thinking if it were to be a saloon and we have a simple board, actually, which we call the transfer board, we can bridge it between the wheelchair and the seat of the vehicle, and this person can just slide onto it, and then you will give minimum assistance to such a person. So in the first place, the vehicle wasn't the right vehicle to transfer the gentleman or the lady into. And this is what I'm talking about.
Let me bring Andrew into the conversation before I come back to you, Doc. Andrew, can you hear me, sir? Andrew? You would have to unmute, Andrew.
I can hear you.
Great. We're already talking about the influence of the media and all of that. And Andrew is founder of the Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy. How would you say media exposure has influenced persons with disabilities in Ghana? And Andrew, we'd appreciate it if you could turn on your camera so that we can see you, if it's not too much to ask. So I think you can go ahead with talking. As and when you are able to give us visuals, then you can give us as well. You just have to press that button with a camera-like logo on it, and I think it will get you on. But what are your thoughts on this? You can go ahead and share your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for this opportunity and co-panelists. Media has championed the issues concerning persons with disability to what I would liken to as the civil rights movement concerning persons with disability in Ghana. The media have been able to, particularly Joy FM or Multimedia House, have been able to project persons with disability when it comes to issues of inclusion, respectful representation, and in a very long way, it has educated Ghanaians when it comes to the issues of disability. Multimedia, and particularly also civil society, have been able to educate the public to know that persons with disability have some form of ability, and they're not asking for much. They're not asking for sympathy, so to speak, but they're asking for a voice. And this is what I believe the media has done for persons with disability to date. And for that matter, media needs to be protected. Media needs to be celebrated. And this will go a long way to educate family members, because statistically, it is estimated that almost every Ghanaian family has a person with disability in one form or shape or the other. We go to these families, we even realize that some of them are on provide the necessary advocacy or the voice that family members' desires. And this is where mic must be kept louder so that as a nation, we will not be seen as a when it comes to issues affecting persons with disability.
Right. Just a quick follow-up.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Right. A quick follow-up, Andrew, on what you've said. So it is obvious that then we need to shape policy in respect of persons with disabilities. How can we, the media, push for such policies and their implementation? What do you think?
The media must keep what they are doing and getting it better. The media must do this without fear or favor of some form of attacks. The media should be in a position to know that this is not, so to speak, a fight for persons with disability, but for mankind and for all humanity. Because in the past, we find situations where people with disability are either hidden by their family members and they are not known. Ketsi, the media, Ketsi Benjamin, Ketsi Emmanuel Jivino, and MFI, and all the staff, and all the other media houses and civil society organizations. Now it becomes a shame to rather keep your family member in the house, and because you feel embarrassed that you have a family member, you don't give your family member any form of education. You don't give them all the necessary things that every human being desires. So, back to your question, the media must keep doing what they are doing and do it better without fear or favor.
Thank you for those interesting thoughts. Let me bring in Sharon and start the conversation from there before handing over back to Sweetie. We started talking about SDG 16 and its different components that feed into the conversation we're having. But there's also the element of threats to media freedom. And we've seen part of that in attacks on media professionals, even in recent times. The GJA is talking about that. What urgent steps from where you sit should be taken to protect journalists so that they can continue amplifying, giving a voice to the voiceless, talking about these crucial issues?
Well, first of all, I think we need to look at the security situation of media persons. If you are creating an atmosphere or an environment where they feel they can always resort to when they are subjected to any form of attack, any form of ridicule, or even any form of threat at all, there should be systems put in place or institutions put up to ensure these people who are only doing their work are protected. We should also come up with some form of legal reforms that seek to protect and that seek to fight against silencing media persons when they are on their own, when they are only doing their job as that I would say the main amplifiers or the main voices or microphones for the nation. If we are putting these two structures in place, I think we can actually get somewhere as a state. The nation shouldn't come to a point where press conferences are always held when we can actually tackle these issues independently on our own. When we can tackle these issues easily on our own, the international world or the Western world, the entire world shouldn't know about the loopholes in our system just because we are not putting systems in place and we are not providing the right structures to ensure the media persons are protected. It's a big shame on our democracy as a whole. It's a big shame on Ghana if people are holding press conferences just because one or two media persons have been attacked and the perpetrators are walking scot-free. they need to be protected. Put up a real system where I know that, okay, Benjamin has been attacked. Benjamin cannot speak up on his own. Can I do a report on behalf of Benjamin and know that myself, as a third person or as a whistleblower, I have been protected, and Benjamin also is going to be protected? Work with CSOs to come up with very good policies on ways to combat these. And I mean, CDD is there for that. The state, if only, it's going to, humble itself and then come and ensure work with us. We are always open for providing some very strong measures towards combating this.
Well, I mean, that's for policy framework and systems in place to strengthen the advocacy. But I want to ask Dr. Odu? This question is for you. From your research, because you work with studying persons with disabilities and the challenges there, what should we be prioritizing? Because when we talk about, press freedom, and the people in the documentary, we saw about 20 people were arrested in 2023, and it's for Galamsey and other, related matters, but not for reporting on stories that concern persons with disabilities. Or we are talking about press freedom and how we can aid to amplify, the advocacy for persons with disabilities. What should we be focusing on? You spoke about mobility challenges or facilities that help, transporting persons with disabilities here and there. I can tell you for a fact that so many workplaces don't even have provisions for people to move in and out freely if they're persons with disabilities. What should the media be focusing on? What stories should we be telling about persons with disabilities that will help the campaign? Kindly unmute for us, Doc.
Yes, sorry about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
The name is Dr. Nda.
Thank you.
Right.
Me.
Your question was about what we should focus on.
Yeah.
Like we said, I think so far what the media is doing, like I said earlier on, is very, very brilliant. But if you come to what to focus on, I think if we can go back to what the Act is saying, the Disability Act is talking about rights of persons with disability, talking about employment of persons with disability, talking about education, talking about transportation, healthcare facilities, and a whole lot of things. These are areas that I think that media can focus on, because these points I have raised, they are a chunk of important areas outlined in the Act that we can focus on. It is like people are not aware the education is very, very low when it comes to issues to do with disability. Going back to your question, we recently had a research work done on specifically on inclusive education. And we realized when you go through the policy, very brilliant, but what was making it not actually be well implemented, or the right people not enjoying what was in the, the policy. And it is all about ignorance. It's all about people not knowing what is in this policy. Everybody is sitting down waiting, like, for the government to actually do something, forgetting that everyone, even including the parents, the PTA, and so on, they all have roles in this policy to play to make sure it is those who matters really experiences. So education, and I think the media, you are one of the best, so should I say, access that we can get this thing hammered on to the society, to the public. So this is what I will say for now.
Right.
Thank you.
And Andrew, the same question, but a slightly different angle. You are the founder, Center for Disability Entrepreneurship, for persons with disability. Do you think that we are doing enough as a country in terms of the policies that are already existing? There's little work that the media is doing to highlight the challenges and successes of persons with disability. Would you say that we are doing enough? What are the gaps there in terms of what we are doing right now, and how do we make progress?
I think we are doing well, but we can do better.
In terms of what?
What I can say is that we need a very vigorous advocacy for the work of journalists, particularly in their dealings or in their reportage concerning disability. When you look at the First Amendment in the American Constitution, it gives a lot of leverages to journalists or media for freedom of speech, right to information. And as a country that I want to believe that we are over 60 years old, should have a well-fashioned or well-skilled legislation or law that protect to the fullest. There must also be more sensitization, even in the form of literatures. And there should also be more and frequent collaboration between the law enforcement agencies and the media. And this will go a very long way to make us look better. But like I keep saying, keep the microphone louder.
I think we have a network interruption there. Andrew was just trying to tell us how we can accelerate action. Are you back, Andrew?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please land on that point for us.
Yes, so it is very important that the media gets refuge or protection both in our laws and in collaboration with our law enforcement agencies, which must be more frequent, so that Ghanaians and society must know that the media, without the media, we will not go far as a country. It is the media that throws light on the darkness. It is the media that gives us guide on what to do. And it is the media that compels the civil societies and even the Department of Social Welfare and Social Protection to do their work in excellence.
Right. Ben.
I'll start with you, Sharon, on this next beat. So, beyond all the rhetoric, beyond the storytelling, we're looking for impact. That's the bottom line. Impact that will help persons with disabilities, but also bring about structural reforms. Now, in respect of the structural reforms, I want to find out from you. We've spoken about the safety of journalists and how, we have the story of Ahmed Hussein Swale. Till today, that matter has not been resolved. Should we get to the point where, as the fourth estate, we maybe say that if you attack a media professional, it is like attacking a police officer? And we all know of the severity of the punitive measures for doing something like that. Should we, policy-wise, get to that point?
Yes, I strongly believe we should. Government must be quick to condemn attacks on the media and attacks on press freedom. They must be very quick to do this, just as much as they pay so much attention to attacks on state institutions, attacks on security personnel and whatnot. The media, like you said, as a fourth estate, they play a very important role in amplifying the voices of the citizenry. If we are enhancing or creating more awareness on media and persons living with disability and partnerships, it's going to be a step in the right direction, I believe. Persons with disability shouldn't feel as though they are being left out just because the media isn't paying so much attention to it. And I think I'll come in with the points or the question Sweetie asked: is the media doing so much, or are they doing very little? I think that we can always start from somewhere. We are doing a lot, or let me say the media is doing a lot, but there's still more room for improvement. Government must ensure that anybody at all who is subjected to attack just by virtue of being a media person should be investigated. These cases should be investigated and investigated thoroughly and seriously. And it shouldn't just be an open and closed case. It should be an open, search deep within, and ensure that the perpetrators are handed over to the police and justice is served. At the end of the day, SDG 16 is seeking to address and secure justice, or a more just society for the world.
Let me rope in Dr. Nda on that same conversation. Should we make it more punitive to attack journalists? And how can we feed this into impacting better journalism when it comes to protecting and highlighting the issues of persons with disabilities? Dr. Nda, I think you may have to unmute. Hello, Doc.
Thank you very much. I think, please can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you, but it appears you've turned. I can hear you, but it appears you've turned off your camera. If you could just turn it on and start again, I'd be grateful.
Sorry about that. Just touching things. Yes, just like Sharon said, I think there should be equal punitive measures, or very closer look into issues of attack. I mean, to the media. To me, I think what the media is doing is very marvelous. And I think if you are working in an environment where you have your freedom, where you think you are just doing your work, I don't think there should be this tax and causing this.
It appears we have some challenges with the connection with Dr. Nda. We'll try to get back to him on that same point, so we move the conversation forward. Andrew, what do you think we can do? Because if you protect the media, you also protect the interests of persons with disabilities. But how do we do that with the current, even legal regime we have? Hello, Andrew. Are you with me? Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Right. So back to what Dr. Nda and Sharon were projecting, I believe that there must be very serious punitive measures for people or persons who attack media personnel or media houses when it comes to the issues of disability, because it is a social issue, it's a social welfare issue, and the welfare of another segment of the population. And it is very important that the quicker or the faster the Minister for Gender and Social Protection, as part of his social protection strategy, must be able to get Parliament to ensure that media houses are protected infinitely. And like I said, the punitive measures must not be just minimal. It must be very punitive, so that would deter people attacking media or media houses.
And Sweetie, you know what's interesting in there is that while we highlight these crucial issues, there are also the issues of galamsey and other related issues, though now our focus is on persons with disabilities, which is why the protection of the media is crucial to all these conversations.
And I think this will be my last bit. I want you to reflect on this, Dr. Indah. One of the things that media does for persons with disabilities highlights the humanness of these people, because society, humans have the proclivity of treating or discriminating against persons with disabilities. So when you tell stories with people with disabilities, you show that they're just like us, they're human beings. However, we have to be careful not to treat them like others. So where do we draw the line between assisting, and this is beyond media and policymakers, this is for regular people who are listening to us right now. Where do we draw the line between assisting persons with disabilities, like in the case of helping them get into a car, and treating them in a way that makes them feel inferior? As specific as you can be, where do we draw the line between helping them to go about their daily work and treating them in a way that makes them feel inferior? Dr. Peter, and if you can unmute and take that for me.
Yeah, I hope I've unmuted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Sorry about this.
Yes, you're loud and clear, Doc. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, what you just said is very important. One thing that we fail to understand is that disability is part of being human, and it's integral to the human experience. This results from the interaction between some health conditions and then, should I say, and a range of environmental and personal factors. So anyone can also experience this. If we're working with persons with disability, I think what we need to do is to respect the person as an individual first, before you even think about what is disabling that person. After all, it's the society that is disabling the person, and the person is just like any human being like us. So the respect should be there, and we shouldn't see them like people who are perpetually in need. You should highlight on what their strengths are and what they can do. And we shouldn't always think of going in to assist or going in to help. They should be treated. They should have that, should I say, that's that one word. They should be respected. Right. And I think that will help. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, if you could get a bite at this, and then maybe I'll throw it to Sharon later, and that will be it for me. Are you with us, Andrew?
I'm with you.
Great.
Act 715, it makes provision or gives answers to the question that you have just asked. And like as Dr. Da was projecting, if we have international standard ramps, if we have equipped high-rise buildings, if we have international standard bathrooms, if we have standard housing facilities, persons with disability, and if we have equipped public transport systems, persons with disability will, to a large extent, may not need assistances into vehicles, into buildings, or into the washrooms. It's louder. Persons with disability will not probably also be begging. They will be gainfully employed. And for persons with disability who are self-employed, they will be more projected. They will be patronized. And they will not be of other persons. And like Dr. Indah said, disability has been with us since creation. It is part of the human system. And as I also said in the beginning, anybody can be disabled one way or the other. Somebody will have a hip bone issue that will be working perfectly, but there will be barriers in his way, maybe accessing infrastructure. So there is the need for attention to be given to all the hindrances all the things that are creating the barriers, the physical infrastructures, the transportation system, then we'll be making a headway. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sharon, while we are amplifying media-based advocacy for persons with disability, regular people on the streets day in, day out also interact with persons with disability, which is why I want us to get, this straight. So from your experience, how can we, as citizens of this country, deal with persons with disability in a way that not makes them feel inferior to us, but just treat them as human? Sharon, are you with us? If you are, please unmute. Your connection is not very clear. Maybe you can reposition and try again. Okay, while we try to get that straight, Ben, that's it for me. If you have more questions for them. I can't hear you, Sharon. Are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Great, it's clearer now. Please.
Great.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get the question again.
I was saying that you are experts. How can we more of educating the public how to treat or deal with persons with disabilities in a way that does not, cross the line from helping them into treating them like others or treating them like inferior human beings?
Okay, so the first question I would ask is, how many people are aware of the content of the Persons with Disability Act in Ghana? We need to come to terms with the fact that people are not well informed or well educated on the content of this act. And we, together as a citizenry or government, should ensure that strategic and deliberate measures are put in place to educate and inform the public on the Persons with Disability Act, which simply aims to provide a legal framework for the rights and protection of persons with disabilities, and ensure that deliberate efforts are being made to these persons with disability in terms of access to infrastructure, access to normal services like healthcare services and whatnot. If we aim to normalize this, these other differently abled persons wouldn't think that you are just working with them out of pity. They would see it as a normal lifestyle, and people will be able to come to terms with the fact that these persons are actually not so differently abled.
Right.
It is just no fault of theirs.
Okay.
If companies are registering their organizations or whatever, or putting up any form of building at all, the organizations that are responsible for providing certificates or licenses should ensure that these buildings are disability friendly. Whereby, if I am coming in there with someone in a wheelchair and this person sees that there's a slopey ramp somewhere, oh, okay, I can actually go there. I feel like these people were actually thoughtful enough to think about me. It doesn't have to get to the point whereby I get there and I need to call on 2 or 3 people to help me adjust my wheelchair.
Okay. Well, Sharon, thank you so much. If there's one thing I'm sure about, it's minority groups don't like to be treated like a charity case. So that's very important. As citizens, we should get familiar with that act, persons with disability, and how we can treat them and all. Ben, if you have something else.
Well, I think we've exhausted the core issues, and we'd like to thank our guests for joining the conversation. Sharon, we are grateful to have had you. Sharon Willis-Brown, Aqua's Programs Officer at the Center for Democratic Development. We also were joined by Dr. Peter Nda, Director, Center for Disability Studies and Advocacy, and finally, Andrew Ni Okaikwe, Founder, Center for Disability Entrepreneurship and Public Policy. We're grateful, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. But moving on from there, just a quick reminder that the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. If you're thinking of that major investment, Waylead is where you need to go. And they have their new, latest project, Willow Lane. You want to call and get some more information. We're taking a breather. We'll be back soon on the AM Show.